MAGA! MAGA! Are you home? Are you awake? Are you awake yet? Do you see what's happening? He's taking over the D.C. City Police.
President Trump earlier saying he's deploying the National Guard to the nation's capital and placing police under federal control now.
I can't believe I'm having to say this, but it is martial law.
Black people are committing crimes. You can't go to jail unless you commit a crime. You don't get arrested and go to jail unless you commit a crime. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is exactly why I love Ground.News. When I look up stuff, when I'm looking at Gaza stories, when I'm looking at what Donald Trump is doing, when I'm looking at news, it's hard to determine what's real and what's fake. With all the fake news that's out there, it's hard to determine who's behind some of these articles that are being written. With Ground.News, you don't have to worry about that. Just say if you want to go to the Gaza-Israeli conflict. Half of these news outlets, you have no idea where they stand. But when you click on it and you look at the title, you can see all the information that you need to know. Who's behind it, who's funding it, is it the left, the right? You can even go here and see which articles are from a left outlet on the same topic, center, right. You can't find this anywhere else. And people often ask me, Brandon, you know, why are you so good and knowledgeable about information that is out there? Because I see both sides and I never get caught off guard. And this is why I want to tell you real quickly about the blind spot. I never get caught off guard because I visit the blind spot and I see which articles that Republicans aren't talking about that I probably need to pay attention to. Like this is an example, J.D. Vance. Hardly anybody on the right is talking about this. Everybody on the left is talking about this. It's probably something to pay attention to. Everybody on the right is talking about this. Nobody on the left is talking about this specifically in this article about Robert Mueller. That's how you stay informed to combat the foolery. Right now, you can get 40% off the same Vantage plan that I use that gives you full access. Everything that I showed you and a lot more. Just go to ground.news/Tatum or click the link in the description section, or you can scan the QR code. You can also enter code Tatum in the mobile app. So again, that's ground.news/Tatum. Don't let the media play you. All right, Donald Trump continues to have boots on the ground in Washington, D.C. There was a video that popped up just like, was it last night or this morning? I had looked at it. Was a black man walking through, it looked like right in front of the White House. He was walking around and he was alluding to the fact of it is a wonderful thing that Donald Trump has done what he's done because he's actually made a difference when it comes to crime. Roll the clip.
Man, down the city is quiet as a church mouse, yeah. I came all the way down Pennsylvania Avenue this morning. So peaceful, yeah. I don't smell no weed, yeah. I don't see no homeless people. I mean, I came all the way through the southeast side, all the way down here. You can see now I'm at the White House, jump, man. It's quiet, yeah. It's a shame that it takes somebody to have to sit in your classroom in order for you to be in order, yeah. Because that's what it feels like, yeah. You gotta be babysitter to do your job, yeah. Stuff been out of control for years. You gotta do better, yeah. You gotta do better, yeah. And mainly, young, you got the problems. It's us, man. It's always us giving everybody a bad name, yeah. We'll see how long this lasts, yeah. How many murders was it last night? How many carjackings was it last night? Talk to me. And y'all keep on posting all these data numbers and things of that nature that y'all see everybody else reposting. The stuff that came from the Metropolitan Police Department and the mayor, yeah. Let me tell you something, yeah. Let me tell you something. You can't be that stupid. You can't be, man. Who enters that information to get that data analysis, yeah? People do. You can enter whatever numbers you want to make whatever report show what, but you can't hide the crime, young. You can't do it. Let me give you something to break it down to you for those that don't understand. I retired from UPS, right? So what they used to do to play with the numbers or whatever, we have mission packages. You'll have drivers over the hours. They'd go in and enter the information and the report would show whatever they needed to show to keep their bonus that week for their bosses not to fire their So stop believing that stuff. And I don't know if you ever had to deal with the DC government, young, but they suck, young. They have got a lot more better now that the officers have did what they had to do and got all of these people out of the government and got rid of the riffraff and things of that nature, people actually do work now. Let me give you this for example, right? You got carry and conceals or whatever that were being issued by the DC separate department that was handling the gun licensing and things of that nature. They went from turnaround time for like 4 months, 5 months for you to have to get a gun registered in DC and get a carry and conceal to 2 weeks. It used to take you 3 months just to get an appointment to talk to somebody and take your information and your gun down there. Now, you go online right now and they got appointments available tomorrow. How does that happen? What changed? You put some fire under their now they want to do some work.
Hey, I don't see a problem with what he said. I think that people don't understand that too, because although I do think that there's a lot of integrity associated with law enforcement, there's a lot of integrity associated with many city leaders and the way they compile statistical data. But bruh, there's human beings in putting this information into a system. I remember when I was in Tucson, I can't remember how it went, but when I was in Tucson, they changed the justification, or they changed the verbiage of a burglary versus a theft. And so what happens was that we were getting beer runs at the store so often. And because the person would forcibly take the beer, I think it was considered a burglary or something. I'm giving a hypothetical. And so what did we do? We ended up changing it to a shoplifting, and therefore it's a lesser crime. And when you look at the charts, our shopliftings or our beer runs, what they call it, beer skips, went to like 1,000% increase. And our burglaries went down to the lowest numbers that you see in the nation. And it's because we reclassified what constitute a certain crime when we put it into our system, which is it was supposed to be called our codes that we put in. Like if it's a murder, it's a 101, if it, so on and so forth. It's the crime classification codes. And just that change made Tucson, Arizona, the highest shoplifting city in the entire nation in one round of surveying. And that was because we simply changed it to make our city look better, and therefore our violent crimes went down, although the petty crime went up. They do this stuff all the time. If they want to adjust the numbers a little bit, they cut the unit. Therefore, you don't have traffic stops, you don't have law enforced, you don't have people getting arrested. And so therefore they go, arrests are down. Yeah, because you cut the unit that make most of the arrests. So I want y'all to hear what Walsh had to say about the deployment of what, the DC police officers, or the taking over of DC police officers. Her name is Hope Walsh. Roll the clip.
Okay, so on the topic of book talk, as well as Trump's baby scaredy cat behavior in DC, it got me thinking of a book I read in college. I think it was when I was at the University of Minnesota. It was Locking Up Our Own by James Foreman Jr. And it talks about what led to, arguably, you should also read the new Jim Crow and then go into this one along with like a million in between. But that's just 1, 2. You kind of get it.
None of those.
But like modern mass incarceration of like black men. And it talks about DC and the war on drugs and how all of that led up to what we're now seeing. Also note the crime rate in DC is at the lowest it's been in 30 years. But this is a good book to kind of get like a larger viewpoint of this sort of stuff. And it's always been like one form of another of like the US locking up people that aren't like rich and white and men. And like we're very much seeing that continuation go on. I would argue also with what we see with Trump, it's just like more of it. Yeah, go read that book. This was not worded very well, but it's a really good book. But start with the new Jim Crow, because that's just like the most basic level reading.
White lady, put her head back on the screen. White lady, we don't need you to be our savior. Stop talking about stuff you don't understand. Quit telling people that the plight of the black man is all these things. You've never been black a day in your life. You have no idea what a black experience with police officers really are. You're only listening to somebody complain about it or reading something in a book that you don't have enough common sense to realize could be in part biased.
Somebody look at this. Somebody look at this. The whites. Look at the whites. The kids in Baltimore cannot read, y'all. The kids in Baltimore can't read, but the whites is out here protesting Trump. The kids in Baltimore are getting shot dead. The kids in Baltimore are getting shot dead, and the whites is out here. Look at the whites. The whites is out here protesting Trump. Did you know that there was murders down the street? Y'all protesting Trump. Y'all ain't got nothing else to protest about? Y'all murder everywhere. Oh, okay. So the whites, they came out here. Instagram loves y'all. The whites came out here to protest in Baltimore about Trump. Ain't that something, y'all? The whites can protest about anything else, and they choose to protest Trump.
There's no threat against an over-incarceration of black people. Black people are committing crimes. You can't go to jail unless you commit a crime. Yeah, there are some people that have been falsely accused. That's like less than 1% of all people that ever go to prison. It's less than 1% of 1%. I mean, it's rare that somebody get falsely accused. You don't get arrested and go to jail unless you commit a crime. So maybe, just maybe, you need to start addressing the fact that black people need to stop committing so many crimes. Therefore, they won't be disproportionately represented in the criminal justice system. I've seen the crime myself. I told you we were down there in D.C. when people were doing a takeover. Nothing but black kids. Now, this girl says crime is lower in 30 years. I put it in ChatGPT. It says, yes, violent crimes in D.C. from 2024 have dropped 35% compared to 2023, marking the lowest it has been in over 30 years, including steep decline in homicides, robberies, carjackings, and assaults with dangerous weapons. Now, I want people to put this stuff in perspective, right? If you have an influx one year and it drops a little bit, that does not mean that the crime has stopped. That does not mean that it's gonna be that way in perpetuity. And also, when you look at numbers like this, you say, well, is it that homicides are not occurring, or are they occurring less, or that they're catching people less, that there's less enforcement of the laws, that robberies are less? No. This is how I look at it. When a robbery occurs, if it's not reported to the police, it didn't happen. If a theft occurs and it's not reported to the police, it didn't happen. And in some cases, if a theft occurs and they can't prove that like a robbery occurs and they can't prove that it was a robbery and they consider it just to be a theft, they're not going to classify it as a robbery. If somebody gets their car jacked and there's no evidence or no true accusation that makes it a carjacking, because there's a difference between getting your car stolen and you getting it stolen by force, then yes, some of those numbers are going to go down. If officers are not arresting people for these crimes, then the numbers are going to go down. My argument is that, what are they basing these numbers on? So I just went real quick to the U.S. Attorney General's office, and I'm going to see real quickly if I can see how they base the numbers. Because when you look at the crime rates, for instance, you look at black people make up 13% of the population and they commit over half of all violent crimes. That's based on convictions. That's not just based on committal of crime. That's based on conviction of crime. So that means black people are convicted for 50%. That means that they are committing a crime at a higher rate. They're convicted at 50%. They're convicted at over half of all violent crimes. Convictions. So when it comes to these, are we talking about convictions? Are we talking about whether or not a person is investigated by police? What is the case? I'm just going to read this real quick and see. It says the total violent numbers in 2024 in the District of Columbia is down 35% in 2023, and its lowest it has been in 30 years, according to the data collected by the Metropolitan Police Department and announced in the U.S. Attorney General Mathis Graves' breakdown of the data available. I want to see if they tell us how they're doing these stats. I'm going to see if I can do it real quick. Statistic below reflects the data entered record maintaining system in 12 hours or 12 a.m. on the data above. These numbers are based on a DC code offense definition and do not reflect Part 1 crime total as reported to the FBI National Incident-Based Reporting System. So the numbers is based on DC code offense definitions and do not reflect Part A or 1 crime total as reported to the FBI's National Incident-Based Reporting. The report should be considerably preliminary in nature. The reports are subject to change due to subsequent determinations related to amendments and classifications unfounded cases or changes in offense definitions. So it looked like 2024, 2025. It's hard to interpret some of this stuff because I don't know how they classify it. But just because a person say that crime statistics overall is down, it doesn't mean that the people feel that way. And feel that way means that in your community is the crime down or not. In DC Metro is the crime up, but the crime is down the further you get away from the Capitol. I mean, these are things that people should, in my opinion, consider before they jump off the bandwagon, because the people of DC are saying that the crime is out of control and it has gotten worse. And I often wonder, just like I said, when they go to do the reporting, when they report a abuse or an assault with a dangerous weapon, or they do a burglary, are they classifying or changing the definition of what a burglary is and was? Is this based on police intervention, meaning that the cops have actually got a suspect and they cleared the case as a 0101, or they cleared the case as a burglary? I wonder, is those things do matter? Because if you get into, let's say you get into a shooting and you don't have a suspect, but it's a shooting, you clear the call from the police perspective on local police. I mean, the patrol officer, you clear it as 0101, which is a homicide investigation. The detectives are still investigating. So I don't think that it's considered to be a cleared case. And so if the case isn't cleared, are you entering the crime statistic into the system if the case is not cleared? If you don't have a suspect, but you have a crime, are they entering the crime statistic into the system post-suspect, pre-suspect, or are they doing it whether they have a suspect or not? Or are they doing it after they've closed the case and arrested the suspect? These are things that I think that should be evaluated before we make a true determination. But we always know that the people are saying that it's crazy and it's out of control. And I think that people need to respond to that appropriately. And to be honest, it really doesn't matter, because even if the crime rate is down a 30-year low, it's still too high. And people should be able to have complete safety. It's not enough to say it's better than it used to be, but it's still people getting robbed every day. That, to me, that's not justification. All right, let's go to a couple other clips. Let's see. Let's go to clip 4. Roll the clip.
Everybody get cuffed on. Don't touch me and I won't touch y'all. Okay, well, don't touch me and I won't touch y'all. That's all I'm saying.
Come on.
Don't touch me.
Tell them that's how we eat. That's how we eat. Eat good. Eat too good. They didn't present shit. Hey. Searching without no. Told his ass, get the back. Get the back. He the only cool one, y'all. He want all chill mode, man.
So look, they're cracking down on crime committed by you know who. Okay, let's go to clip 5.
Swarm of law enforcement, including the feds in Northwest D.C. tonight amid President Trump's takeover of the district. This is in the Columbia Heights neighborhood around 14th Street and Perry Place Northwest. Both Homeland Security and Border Patrol were spotted on this scene. We're working to confirm what they were responding to and how many arrests were made, as you see that very large police presence and federal law enforcement presence. We see all of their vehicles lined up there. A major show of force there in the D.C. streets in Columbia Heights. Again, you see several people being arrested on the curb there. We are working to find out more information, and as soon as we get it, we'll let you know. And right now, the first day of National Guard troops on the ground in D.C., also part of President Trump's effort to crack down on crime. Military vehicles spotted along the National Mall tonight. Fox 5's Nana Senyo Bonsu live in Northwest, where we're also seeing D.C. police very active tonight. Nana.
Hey, Kenneth, good evening. Not just D.C. police, we also have Border Patrol, U.S. Customs as well, pulling off over here, HSI. There's a lot happening right here on the scene that we're trying to gather. We were responding to some kind of large federal law enforcement presence. As you can see, a number of federal agents hopping in their car.
All right, let's go to clip. I want to react to this clip. I want to go to clip 6.
So President Trump has federalized the police department in Washington, D.C., and people are upset. He's calling it Liberation Day for Washington, D.C., and I couldn't agree more. The crime in D.C. has ran rampant, and it's about time that people can now have faith and trust in law enforcement out there and be able to walk the streets and not get hit over the head or mugged I mean, why would anybody be upset with that? We just had a young member of Doge beat by a gang of young males. I mean, why would anybody have a problem with that? The left is calling him a dictator. They're calling him an authoritarian. A lot of names that they throw. A lot of word salads. Of course, they're calling for him to be impeached. But the people that support him is calling for more. This is what we voted for. And we're very happy that this man is making DC safe. He's making America safe. Look at the border. Have we had any other illegal border crossings since he took office? Nah. A big difference from what we've dealt with the last 4 years and who was responsible.
So this is why I tell you guys all the time, it's not the black man, it's the N-words that are the problem. That brother and the other brother I showed you guys are all reasonable men who are black, who aren't bought into the bull crap, and they can tell you exclusively and explicitly, you know, about the truth that's going on and not feel like they got to capitulate to a certain demographic of people because their skin color look alike. That's all I'm saying.